First, hold on, wait a minute. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's dive into this. Um, Three reasons why the Chargers job is actually a little bit harder than most people think. It's not like it's a walk in the park. It's not like it's going to be easy. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, if I were a head coach, I would think twice before I head over to not San Diego. God dang it. God, take two. Anyways, hey guys, what's up? This is something that the Chargers they've been a problem for a while. They've been a thorn in the NFL for a minute. And of course, obviously, if you're a fan of football, then you automatically know that the Chargers they're always super talented. They just never seem to put it together, right? And in this case, Brandon Staley did not do that. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad he's gone. However, this is a huge vacant spot for, of course, coaches to come. This seems like a dream ideal, right? Someone like a Jim Harbaugh, a Dan Quinn, a Steve Wilkes, something like that, right? Well, I want you to think twice before you just take this decision, right? And the reason why I say that is because there's multiple problems with this team, and it's deeper than what you think. Starting with number one. Obviously, old age plays a huge factor in this roster. That's number one, right? You have an aging. Let's be real. 28 in the NFL is old. Austin Eckler, 28 years old, and has had injury problems. Yeah. Yeah, bro. You tell me how you want to handle that. Next up, Keenan Allen. He's 31 already. He'll be 32 next year at receiver. Then on top of that, you have Mike Williams, who's going to be 30 next year, and he can't stay healthy, worth a dang. Jordan Everett, 29, going to be 30 next year. A lot of these guys are going to be what you call true old veterans. So that's just the offensive side of the ball. Really, my main focus for the San Diego Chargers falls on the defensive side. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, with, Joey Bosa, who is always inconsistent and always getting injured. Then you've got, of course, Khalil Mack, who is going to be 33 and probably wants to get paid a lot of money, right? Derwin James, he's a bit banged up at times, which is even really bad, to be honest with you. So my thing is that is this job really ideal with all these problems on the roster already? Was Brandon Staley really not too far over his head? And that's just the first part, is the depth. The depth of this roster, man. It's just, there's no, how can I say this the most nicest way? There's really no up-and-coming young stars on this team except for Justin Herbert. They don't really utilize their players. Now, I get it. You get the right coach in there, like an Eric Bieniemy on the offensive side of the ball, turns things around, makes it happen. You know what I mean? But also at the same time, too, the problem also lies is that there's so many different ways that the Chargers lose games. Now, their defensive backs are really young. That's where you could probably build, you're pretty much your treasure right there in that secondary area. Keep Derwin James, whatever you do, however you're going to do it, right? Their style of defense, Jesus Christ, whatever they run. I don't know what they're running nowadays. It's just they're not running the right defenses, I'll tell you that. They keep losing. Literally, their defense loses games. And I think that does fall on coaching. And it kind of leans into my other point, is that this team is extremely injured. They're old age right now. That's the number one thing right there that I'm thinking about. My second one is somebody's got to go. Somebody has got to go. And what I mean by that is, like, they have to trade some people off of this roster right away. And it's going to be a culture shock. And it's going to get harder for Justin Herbert before it gets easy. Trust me on that. Pretty much, the real question is, who goes first? I am a firm believer that I think that Austin Eckler probably will be the first one off the market. I don't want much for a running back, a couple of maybe a second or a third rounder. That's if you can get that. You got to start building this team up real quick. Real quick. Definitely somebody like that I don't mind, you know, I don't mind them pretty much, trading them. You can trade a Keenan Allen, see what you can get for him. People will go all out for a big name receiver. These are the guys, got to get, shoot, if you can, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, somebody like that. Those guys, they can get off the roster right away real quick. These are things that you've got to do right freaking away. Man, it is pivotal that you must, do that, dude. You must do that. So, aging roster, you got to hit in free agency, and you've got to hit on your draft capital picks right away. And it's funny because I compare the two, how Carolina is a safer job than Los Angeles with the Chargers. I wouldn't touch this one for so many reasons, but I only got 3. And like I said, the first one is aging. The second one is going to be who are you going to get rid of, because you're going to have to really change everything. And then number 3 is whoever you bring in has to have some type of swagger and culture with them. Brandon Staley, not so much. Anthony Lynn, on the other hand, I liked Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn run that ball. He had, of course, Melvin Gordon and, Austin Eckler in their primes. Really knew how to utilize them boys and really make the Chargers decent. However, it was only really one really good year that they did have. And I'm not, I'm not against it. It's just, it is what it is. That's how it's gonna be, right? Well, outside of that, I'm old enough to remember Martin Schottenheimer, and I remember him in the 2000s. He was a really good coach too as well. So I think if you bring in a Dan Quinn, defensively, that's how this Chargers team is gonna be set. When I say it's gonna be charged, it's gonna be some lightning bolts, pop around that ball. You bring in Hardball, it's gonna be a dogfight. They're gonna be physical. They're gonna go all out. You bring in somebody like an Eric Bieniemy or Ben Johnson, so on and so forth. You've got to have some type of culture already if you're coming in straight for this job. You can't just come in and twiddle your fingers. You've got to get to work right away, because the expectation of whoever they bring in has to live up to the hype. They want to say Belichick can come in. I think Belichick's too old for the job. I think he's going to go sit down somewhere. I'd rather Belichick be an offensive coordinator, something like that. I don't really want to see him too much ruin his legacy as a great coach. I want to leave him alone. Just be regular, But say you get somebody like that. Like I said, if they're thinking about firing Arthur Smith, which I hope Atlanta doesn't do because he's really doing a good job. Or what if, Kellen Moore gets the phone call, he steps up. Steve Wilkes comes in and crushes on defense. Raheem, same thing, with the Rams, crushes on defense. You've got to find out who and what the Chargers really are. They're just right now, they're that other team in Los Angeles. They're not the squad. They're not known for much. They're known for having great running backs. I'm not going to lie now. That's one thing I can say. Them Chargers got them running backs. They've always had a good running back, especially since I was a kid playing Madden. I used to make sure I got one of them. But that's nor here, definitely not there. And what I'm saying on top of that is just that really that old age, the impact of who you're going to trade and how you're going to make this culture work. This is an honorable mention, too, on top of that. The reasons why I wouldn't touch the job is that the draft capital that the Chargers have isn't enough to really turn around in the AFC. And I'm not going to lie. It don't look like it's going to be any prettier, because the Raiders are literally only a quarterback away if they keep their same roster. If we're talking about it today, or we can do this as futuristic, go down the road, that's fine, so we can do that. Futuristically, the Raiders are a quarterback away. Kansas City is a skill player away. Denver literally has the coach, and they are on the way. You're already at the bottom of the division if you're the Chargers. Now, hindsight, let's go ahead and look. Let's look at a bigger scale, right? AFC. Texans are getting better. Titans finally have a quarterback. Colts got a quarterback. Jags got a quarterback. That's the AFC South. That's 4 teams right there. Plus your teams in the AFC West. Guess what? That's 7 right there. Ravens. You could say the Browns and the Bengals. You could say, we'll just say Ravens and the Bengals right now in the AFC North. That goes up to 9 right there. So on and so forth. Patriots, they're a mess. Jets, they're a mess. They've always been a mess, the Jets. But, you can say the Bills and the Dolphins, so on and so forth. So you're looking at 11 teams already better than you next year. Just off of what they have right now, what they have to deal with. This is where I say to myself, If you're a head coach, think twice before you go all the way to Los Angeles and take that Chargers job. You got old age players, and you got to get rid of some of the culture in there right away. And then on top of that, you bring in a Belichick, you bring in a Steve Wilkins, you bring in a Dan Quinn. You better be ready to come and play all out. Hey, yo, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Peace. I'm out.